Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Scamperton Model Railway. You're focusing on the glues at the moment, but if I push this down you'll see that I have been experimenting more with the track, and I have been also doing a lot of wiring underneath. So that's been this week's job, a rewarding job actually, because I like doing practical stuff sometimes. I've got the lipped out sections in place and track is going round there. I've just got two bits of 18mm chipboard and plywood, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then we go around and back around where we started. So this is going to be the Scenic area, as I mentioned in the last update, and I've been running the trucks round, in this case a ballast, and this is working out really well. Obviously I haven't got any track there, but this runs round and it looks quite smooth, and yeah, sorry, I'll zoom out a bit. Things, it does run really well. I'm not quite happy on these kinks here, but so far there's been no derailments when I've run the trains and track over, run wagons over it. There's no power to the lines yet. I've marked out where move that out of the way, marked out roughly where I think the river will be. So if I move this stuff out of the way, I apologise. Just doing an update and look at all this. So haphazard if ever you saw it. So the river's going to go there at the moment and stop there. Now I'm not entirely sure on that yet. I'm not completely sold on it. I might abandon the river idea altogether. But then that means, what do I do with some of the scenery stuff, i.e. Monkey Bridge? So that needs a bit more work, I think, on that front. I'm not sure if you can divide the river up so you could go across. It would be nicer if I could end up where that board there, but that means going across a board join, and I'm not entirely sure if that's doable or not. So it might be worth hearing of people if they've ever attempted such a thing, and whether it's worth it, even, well, not that it's not possible, whether it's worth the hassle of doing it. But for now, that's where the river's going to be. I've marked out behind this drill, well, under this drill rather, is where I could have a road with a bridge, and either that will come off towards this area or that will flow down towards the thing. I'm actually liable to think that I'll come off around here and go over the bridge and then carry on. I'm not sure yet, but I think that's what I'll do. The lift out sections are fine. I've not put track in to test them, but everything looks fine so far. Now, what I want to do is obviously come off the tracks, trains will go over, and then at the moment, they're going to come into a station area here. Now, the reason I've got those plywood boards there is I need 5 foot of platform. So 5 feet is, let me get my tape measure. So 5 foot is roughly that length. Now, Gemma's suggested that I potentially have a runaround so that I could come off a point, trains would go round and then get back onto the thing and then carry on their merry way. Or I could do it on this side and then come off into there. The other option I've got is that I do one of those well, I don't know the technical term, but basically the train comes in and it stops there, and then the platform carries on. So it's like a dead end platform, and passengers would get off there. That would allow me to have at least a 2-car, i.e. the DMU I've got sitting in there, and then that could run off and then always. But that also means that I'd have to reverse it in, and it would only really go in one way. So it would go around there, go all the way round, stop, and then approach into there. Now, approach back in, which I don't really like. If I have just the 2 platforms, that's still taking up quite a lot of space, but it does allow me to at least have a nice station. But I won't have that over the top footbridge. It was, it's just not very good. So what I plan to do is just get some over platform steps. Now, if I go with the 5-foot platform, I could have a road on this side and then the town and just some back scene along there maybe. But the town, well, they're not so much the town, but the houses and the playground and maybe the fire station will be along here. And then I could have a road bridge that goes up and a town that sits around here. So it would have the low relief shops going along here to about here, and then a road that would come, 2 roads would come off there and then come down, and then the road will come down here and then would just carry on, and then I'd have a road bridge that just goes off towards in that direction. That gives the illusion of height on both sides. Now, I quite like that idea, and I've got a fair amount of plywood, as you can see behind the thing, which is also helpful. And my idea at the moment is that if I cut a bit of length of plywood, that would go along there. I could have a nice, not massive all the way to along here, but I could have a nice small town with the low relief shops. They could lean against the back scene, or at the very least some thin plywood board there, and then that would bolt against a stopper section here. And then that would then give me a nice road that could come down along here, and then I could have the houses, I could have that playground, I could even have the fire station, and then that would go off towards there. So it's a bit like Stafford Railway Bridge, where you have a railway bridge on one end and then another railway bridge leading into Castletown. That would at least give me some more elements to model in and make use of. Now, it would also use up a shit ton of wood that I've accumulated over the time that I now don't need and can use all the way along, which is obviously handy. So that's my intention. Then I have over here, I can have a road bridge with maybe some scenery. And then over here, as you can see, I've got the bank along there, which could go toward and then leads onto the river, and I can just put some stuff along there. I kind of want to redo that hill, so I might try and salvage what I can and then put them back. So that's my plan at the moment. More scenery will be along here, and like I said, the road will come along here and then go over the bridge. I have been looking for the Bachmann Scenegraph Wayborn Bridge, because I think that will look really nice, but Bachmann no longer sell it, and I believe they're not in any rush to make any new ones, so the chances of me coming across it are fairly zilch unless I see one at a second hand or at a toy show or a toy fair. But overall, yes, things are motoring along. Underneath, I have put, you can't really see it, but I've started to put power in all the way along. There's a Yamork on each box on each side that will allow me to have any DCC lights I want on either a scenery, maybe just street lights, I don't know yet. And I've got along here, I can have station lights, I can have the town lights all controlled, so that's fine. They're all under there, as you can see, and I've got the 3-volt lights for when I put the fire engine, and then I have a 5-volt power supply for the street advertising boards and platform advertising boards. Now, it's taken me a little while to do all of this, and mistakes have been made, and I've learnt a few lessons. Oh, that was where that screwdriver went. I've also decided to, you can't really see it, but I've got some Wagyu clips on the positive and negative wires. Let me just put this away. And the reason for that is that when I lift these boards off to do the track wiring, I've got the ability to just feed wires into a central location which I can mark on the board, and then they will go on to those Wagyu clips, and when I need to lift the boards off, all I do is just literally reach under and unclip them, and then the board can come off if I need to move it. And the same goes for that board, the same goes for this board, and then finally the one over there. So I'm covered on the electric, and if in terms of modular, it's not going to be a problem because, again, they're all fed into the same district, the same bus. And obviously with the lift out sections, the wire will go into there, and then it can unplug. And if there's any disasters, like trains are running and somebody accidentally lifts it off, when that comes out, that will take that out and obviously disconnect the power to this area. So that's also helpful. And then along here, although I haven't wired it in yet, this is just going to be flexible wire that will plug onto there, and then that will dip down and then sit under the board. Now at the moment I haven't got the thing wired up. I still need to do that, but I don't, excuse me, I just splintered myself. What I don't want to do is wire this in yet, because I need to put some strengthening wood along the bottom, and then wire in the track feeds to the underneath, which won't take long. It's just a case of getting it all sorted. So at the moment things are progressing nicely. I've got to put some track on there, as you can see, and then I've got to put some bracing underneath, and then that's that job done. And then what my next intention is to, in the next update, hopefully in the next update, the next update will be trains running around, not necessarily the final decision on the track, but trains running around, and hopefully, all being well, a smooth running. And my intention is, in order to make sure that this all works, is to run every train in both directions on both tracks to make sure there's no derailments, make sure that it all runs smoothly, and I'm happy with the track plan. If that works, then that gives me a great basis to start with the scenery, and a great basis to start with the actual running of all the track. Sorry, not the track, running of proper trains under control. Now, one of the things, like I said, if people could say whether they agree with the idea of putting a point in one or both of the tracks and going round the trains and back on, or whether I should just ignore that, have just a nice platform on both sides, and then just running trains. Very simple layout, nothing grandiose, but it means that it just runs smoothly without any real issues, and it's just a very basic roundy without any hassle. So if people want to comment, if they're interested, I'm going to do some experimenting over the next few days, and hopefully you'll watch this and think, oh, he's actually done a little bit of progress. And thanks for very much for sticking by the channel. Hopefully I'll get better at this filming lark, but for now, thanks very much. If you want to like and subscribe, that would be grateful. If not, no dramas. But thanks very much for stopping by, and any comments are welcome. Thank you.